Couch with Koel. Poet, writer, activist, journalist who would rather not be defined by her last name, although her last name is a famous one. Fatima Bhutto, the beautiful writer from Pakistan, is right here on my couch. Fatima Bhutto, I'm very glad to have you on my couch. Thank you very much for coming here.
Thank you for having me.
Now, while you were researching your book based on the life of your father, surely you must have come across a lot of research that perhaps toppled the man that you worship, Mir Murtaza. You know, he was your father. You were 14 years old when he tragically was assassinated. Was there something that startled you, a discovery about him that you went, oh my God, I didn't want to know this, and knock him off the pedestal you'd put him on?
Yeah, well, you know, for me, I adored my father and I loved him from my core. But I didn't put him on a pedestal, at least as a child I didn't, because I had ferocious arguments with him on many things. And as I researched the book, his choices and how his choices impacted my life and my brother's life became very clear. He argued forcefully for nuclear deterrence. You know, I don't believe at all that anyone anywhere is safer because of the presence of a nuclear bomb. But you know, what I tried not to do was judge him, because I can't. You know, and this is the thing, is that when I was researching, there are things about every member of this family that were progressive and inspiring. You know, certainly with Benazir, absolutely. She was a very brave, very radical woman at one time. But they all made very fatal, very egregious mistakes.
Now, you have openly said that the moral responsibility of your father's death lies with your Khala Benazir Bhutto, because she was the premier at the time. So when she was assassinated, did you feel any form of divine retribution? Would you?
No, because I don't believe in revenge, and I don't believe in retribution, divine or otherwise. For me, what I always wanted was justice, and there was nothing just about what happened to my aunt. For her to be killed in the manner she was killed in was violent. It was not only was it incredibly violent and shocking, but it disturbed and destabilized a country, and no one has been brought to account for it. And in fact, she is just another casualty of a political system that eats its own, that any time somebody becomes inconvenient, we don't use discourse or debate, we use force. I mean, Zia-ul-Haq was killed in violent means, and there was no investigation into his death. And Zia-ul-Haq, in my opinion, is one of the truly odious figures of my country's history. But when you don't investigate his death, you make it very possible to kill someone else and then not to investigate their death.
What angers you the most? Because as I sit across you, I find that you are angry about the world. Would that be right to say? And what angers you the most?
I think one ought to be angry about the world. Injustice. Injustice angers me the most, and I suppose that would probably make me very angry, because there's injustice in many forms. But or maybe it's just exposure to it. Maybe it's living in the subcontinent where you see it every day.
There's an incident when you were here launching for your book tour. A very concerned Indian lady came up to you and said, "Oh, I hope you're amply protected back home." And that's sort of you were sort of taken aback by that, like going, you were almost, you found it incredulous that someone would say something like this. So is Karachi a safe place? Can you walk around without bodyguards, and especially being a Bhutto?
Well, it's not a safe place, whether it's Karachi or Rio or Lagos, one of these huge monster cities that isn't going to be safe by virtue of the fact that it is a mega city and that there are all kinds of forces at work or at play in the city at any given time. But Karachi is a place that has.
But it's not like any other mega city.
Well, it kind of is. I mean, it's the 7th largest city in the world. I mean, it's very similar to Bombay in shape and form and sound. But you're right, it does have a political history that is maybe a bit different. But it can also be one that is diverse and tolerant and open. It just depends on the time. There is a tremendous amount of violence at the moment.